Hey guys, Jesse here. I'm just doing another video on a new invention of mine. This right here, hopefully you can see that all right, is basically the Black Wolf 99, but converted to open bolt. And I was inspired by Wolverine Airsoft, a product they came out with, to try an old idea of mine. I think it's pretty much what they're doing with the Gen 2. This is the Black Wolf 99 nozzle, and it goes in a cylinder like this, and there's a little spring that goes behind it, and a small solenoid valve, this one to be exact, that sits behind the engine. When it's open, it's connected with a 90-degree fitting, goes in here, and it pushes the nozzle back. And then when the solenoid valve turns off and the air is exhausted, the spring pushes it forward. And the bullet valve, it opens and it shoots air through the end of the engine, through the nozzle, shoots the BB. So it works basically like a fusion engine. When I was coming up with that idea, I was just basically on a pad of paper. I was just drawing out other ideas, and I thought maybe this is an SMP nozzle. How it works, it slides off this little pin and then the air escapes through. I thought maybe if there was something spring loaded at the back, it would push the nozzle forward, then the air would kind of open a little valve at the back and then shoot the air, so there'd be a bit of a delay. I just figured there wouldn't be enough of a delay to make a difference, and I wasn't going to spend a whole bunch of time making this stuff on my lathe, but it turns out it does make a big difference from what I've seen on the Wolverine Facebook page. So as it just so happens, this nozzle for the Black Wolf works perfectly for my idea. What I did is I drilled holes about halfway back here. I made another donut basically the same size as this, and that slides over top of this, slides back and forth. I tapped the end and made a little Delrin plug basically, or bolt that screws into the back. The head is just slightly bigger than this, and it keeps the ring from sliding off. And well, what I'll do is I'll shoot this first to show you that it works. There's the nozzle forward. It's probably going to leak a bit. This is not really a real fitting. It's something I made quickly out of Delrin. All my fittings are in my guns right now. I'm trying to put everything back together. Okay, so. Whoa, okay. As you can see, it's got a. If I can move a hunk of aluminum like that around, it's got some good power to it. And that's only at 90 psi. So yeah, it works. Now I'll show you how it works. Instead of explaining it, I'll just show you. So it's basically set up like an SMP. All I did was I drilled a hole into the airline block and I didn't even really add this line. I just took it out of the back here, and it just happened to be the right length. This line used to go back to this little solenoid valve. It was the air input line. And then what I did is I took a small screw, some Teflon tape, threaded it in there to plug that. So basically nothing really changed. I just rearranged some stuff. Now Wolverine is doing theirs as a sort of a drop-in kit, like you can add it to the Inferno. And as it just so happens, this pretty much worked out like a drop-in kit. I could make it in such a way without any real modifications to the design, where you could buy this, if I ever manufacture these, I doubt I ever will, but you could buy this, and then later on you could buy a solenoid valve, basically a airline that looks like this, but with two 90-degree fittings and that is about that long, and that would be it. Then you could, and a small spring, and you could change it to closed bolt. But I will show you first how this open bolt design works. So this is really neat to me because I really didn't have to change much at all. This nozzle is actually an M4 nozzle that I made for sorry, a P90 nozzle, about just slightly shorter than the M4 nozzle I made for my closed bolt P90. And so what happens, this rides in here, and so when you first plug it in, the air goes into this section. It doesn't go anywhere because it just goes into the intake port of the bullet valve. It also comes through the block and goes in through this fitting to the front. It goes in between these two O-rings because this one is bigger and there is sort of like a stepped up portion. The air expands this way. It pushes the nozzle back so it can expand to that slightly bigger spot. When you shoot the air, because there's a big hollow void in here, the air comes out of here and rushes into this hollow void here because there's more area, so it can expand more. So what that does basically is it pushes the nozzle forward till it hits the end of the nozzle housing, and it's being pushed forward by exerting force on this O-ring. So it pushes it forward, and then once it hits the end, it keeps pushing this little donut, as I call it, pushes against the spring, and it opens these holes. I don't know if you can see those. And so the air goes through those holes, rushes down the nozzle, and shoots the BB. Then when the bullet valve is turned off, it starts to lose pressure, the whole thing moves back, seals off, and it continues to go till this hits here. Yeah, that's basically how it works. And like I said, with just basically this valve and another hose, and this little spring. So those three parts, you add those and it turns it into the Black Wolf 99. And you don't need a different nozzle. You just basically unscrew this cap, take the donut off, the little spring off, put it off to the side somewhere where you won't lose it, and then this spring will just slide on over there, and now it becomes like a closed bolt that functions more like the Polar Star Fusion engine. So I'd say I'm pretty proud of this, not because I came up with this idea, Wolverine did, but just how easily I was able to switch from closed bolt to open bolt. And if I ever offered these things for sale, I doubt I would, because it's just too much work to make them. But basically you could have sort of an open bolt with then a kit you could buy to change it to closed bolt if you wanted to. And I really do see a benefit. This sort of two-stage firing system, it works better than, say, my ugly little, my Black Crow, which is basically a Polar Star Jack. It works better than that, but the closed bolt really is like, it doesn't matter what I seem to drop it into, it always works, and it always has good accuracy. As long as there's a good air seal with the bucking, even the alignment doesn't have to be that great. It still seems to fire well. As long as the alignment is good enough that the nozzle will seal with the bucking, it fires accurately. So anyways, that's enough of my rambling. I hope you enjoyed this video, and yeah, I'll try and come up with more ideas and post more videos.